Hey bag makers, today I'm going to be talking about seatbelt webbing for bag straps, various fabrics that I've added to my stash, my Christmas chair quilt that I just finished. I'll be demonstrating how to add hidden tabs to your bag. The book review will be for So Beautiful by Kennis Wong, and there's a great giveaway at the end. I'm Sarah Lawson from Sew Sweetness. Thanks so much for joining me for Sewcial Sunday, my weekly sewing chat. Hey everybody, happy Sunday. Welcome to Sewcial Sunday. As Christmas is coming up this week, I'm all decked out in my, rather than an ugly Christmas sweater, a cute Christmas sweater. I see MJ's watching from Alberta, Canada. Paula's watching from Massachusetts, and Trudy from Michigan. So welcome everyone. And if you're watching the recording later on during the week, thank you so much for making time during your busy schedule to tune into Sewcial Sunday. So I have a lot of things to share with you tonight, and before we get to that, a few quick items. We've been doing live giveaways the last few weeks at the beginning of the show, and of course our regular giveaway at the end of the show. One of our recent giveaway winners, Sierra Bray, wanted to pay it forward and give her winnings away to another Sewcial Sunday viewer. So Sierra had a $40 gift certificate and she would like to pay it forward to another viewer, and so that will be our first giveaway of the night for live viewers. And so I'm going to talk about a few other things. That'll give you a minute or two to get in your comments for a randomly drawn live giveaway, so you can say hello, where you're from, whatever you'd like to say. Go ahead and type that in the comments right now. And like I said, I'll go through a couple of things first, and then Danny will help me draw the live giveaway winner. So the December challenge, you have until December 31st to enter the December challenge. There's 8 sewing patterns that you can choose from for this month's challenge, and the link is in the description in case you'd like to read more about that. And the prize is a $100 gift certificate to sewsweetness.com. So got a little bit of time to enter still. Perhaps you need to make another last minute holiday gift if it happens to be one of the patterns in the list. Make sure to enter the December challenge. Also, I've decided to institute an optional, obviously just if you'd like to, but I'm going to start sending out reminder emails every Sunday, the day of the Sewcial Sunday show. And if you would like to be reminded that a show is coming up later on in the evening, you can sign up for that. It's a separate newsletter database than my regular newsletter. I wanted to make sure I had the option available, but I didn't want to bug people with extra newsletters sent out every week. So if you'd like to be part of that list, again, it's a separate list from my regular newsletter, and it will only be used to send a reminder on Sundays when I'm getting ready to go live earlier in the day, of course. There's a link in the description if you'd like to sign up for that Sewcial Sunday reminder newsletter email. Also, the Bellow Pouch Sew Along, you have until January 3rd to post a photo of your completed Bellow Pouch. It's one of my newer patterns from the most recent 4-pack video bundle, and I've seen lots and lots of them made for holiday gifts this year. So again, you have until January 3rd. There will be some great prizes, and all you have to do is enter a photo of your completed Bellow Pouch. Again, link is in the description. Okay, Danny, ready to do the drawing for the $40 gift certificate? That's from Sierra Bray. Danny, what numbers am I choosing from tonight?
45.
I'm going to choose 20.
1 through 20.
3. All right, M. Knapp from Central Florida is the winner of the $40 live giveaway gift certificate. If you could please email me after the show so I can get you connected with your gift certificate, and my email is sarah@sewsweetness.com, and that's Sarah with no H. All right, so a friendly reminder just about everything that I'm scheduled to talk to you about tonight. I've purchased myself, so these are not things that I'm getting paid to talk to you about, but cool things that I found that I'd like to share with you. And everything that I'm scheduled to talk about, I link to in the description. So if you're interested in finding out more about any of the notions, fabrics, books, or projects that I talk about during Sewcial Sunday, just check that link in the description and you can find out more information there. So this week I have for you some seatbelt webbing that I purchased for bag straps. So I'm going to have Danny switch to the overhead camera. I'm not going to actually sew with these on camera just because they're sewn just like regular straps are, but I just wanted to share with you, since it's seatbelt webbing, obviously everyone's familiar with the thickness of seat belts. I purchased these from a shop on Etsy, and there were lots of different colors available. These two in particular are 2 inches wide, but browsing through Etsy, I saw a few different widths. I saw 1 inch wide and 1.5 inch wide. The colors may vary on the thinner widths, but nonetheless, there are options available. Some of them have different designs as far as the threads go over here. It's been a few years since I've sewn with seatbelt webbing, but when I did in the past, I just used the normal thread that I usually use for bag making. For me personally, that's Aurifil 40 weight thread. And you can either just stitch 1/8 of an inch along the long edges, or if you'd like a little bit of extra reinforcement, you can do 1/8 of an inch and then 1/4 of an inch, so you'll have 2 lines of stitching. Danny's going to switch back over to the front camera, and I'm going to share a couple of pictures of bags made with seatbelt webbing. So these are some bags I made for Tula Pink a few years ago. They were in her trade show booth and catalog, and the hot pink, that's the seatbelt. Depending on the thread color, it really blends in nicely. And this is a triple threat briefcase made by Michelle Tripp of Baraboo Designs, and as you can see, she folded over in the middle of her handles and stitched it down. So what you would do is just fold that in half so the long edges meet and then stitch that down. So again, seatbelt webbing, really interesting detail to have for a bag, very sturdy of course, and some of the widths are available in really fun colors. So check the link in the description if you're interested in that. And I have a question for you. Let me know in the comments. Have you ever used seatbelt webbing for a bag before, a bag or pouch, or would you like to use it? So let me know. I say bag or pouch. That one photo that I shared had 2 of the, I think they were Annex double zip box pouches with the handles from the seat belting to match the bag. So there's lots of options for seatbelt webbing for your sewn projects. So yesterday I finished a holiday quilt that I was working on. I'll share the picture in a minute. The same pattern designer is offering a holiday block of the month for 2021. Danny's going to post the picture on the screen. So this is coming up for next year. Every month 2 blocks, and as you can see, the characters are really fun. The quilt is called Santa's Helper, and from the same designer, Corinne Savy. This is the one I just finished yesterday, so I was really excited. Well, I didn't finish it, I still have to quilt it and bind it, but this quilt is called Christmas Cheer, and I really love block of the months because for me, each block, it's really interesting putting all of the different types of blocks together. I did a different block of the month over the summer called the Summer Sampler, and it really just keeps my attention rather than making the same block over and over, which is fine. I've done that in the past as well, but I had a lot of fun making that quilt top, and I'm so happy I finished it. We can't use it for Christmas because I don't think I'm going to be able to quilt it and bind it in the next few days, but nonetheless, I was really happy to finish it. So lots of new fabrics in the stash this week. I'm going to have Danny switch over to the overhead and I'm going to share them with you. So the first is, I didn't pick up the whole entire fabric line, but just a few of these from Juicy Juice. The fabric line is called Entwine, and they're all wovens. So a little bit different of a thread count and a feel from quilting cotton, but I thought the prints were really interesting, and this is actually like a running series of stitches running through, which is really fun. Reminds me of a bit of embroidery, but obviously done by machine on fabric. And these were, I just loved the texture of these, and they feel really, really soft. Okay, so those are all the colors that I picked up. I picked up one more, and I actually used it for a project a couple weeks ago, so I wanted to share with you what I did because it feels a little bit less substantial than quilting cotton. What I did, I was worried while I was drawing my pattern pieces out and cutting them out that the fabric might shift on me and my pieces might be less accurate than is normal for me cutting out fabric. So what I did before I cut out all my pattern pieces is I fused this particular fabric to the shape flex, and then I was assured that there would be no shifting or moving around or inaccuracy, and so that's what I did for these fabrics. And then I cut out my pattern pieces and attached it to, in this case, foam interfacing. So there's more prints of Entwine available online if you'd like to take a look at the link that I shared in the description. And then I have a stack of some other fabrics to share. Actually, a couple of them are panel prints, so I'll save the panels till the end so I can hold it up on the front camera. But I really like sort of squared off designs like this because I feel like they'd be really interesting for pouches. And these are various owls and they look pretty cute. There's a coordinating print. I'll show you that in just a second. I had this Alice in Wonderland print. It's available in a few different colorways. I just chose the gray. The colors are a little bit muted, which is totally fine, but I guess I was just expecting something super bright. And when I opened it up, it was a little bit less bright than I thought. And the next two are two digital prints from RJR Fabrics, and it's a panel. So along one side of the selvage is more negative space. And then it's got this lovely floral on the other side. And let me flip this over. The floral's in the middle. So the selvages are the neutral space over here like this. And then there was another print from the same line. And something kind of along the same line. So this is more of a border print. So there's strips of the design. Here's the selvage over here. So there's 4 lines of the floral print, which I think would be really interesting for pouches, and it gives you a lot of working area. Here's the selvage on the other side. So I like the idea of, I don't know, just the colors are in this floral are different than I've seen in other floral fabrics, and love the neutral background because it really makes the florals pop. And Danny's going to switch over to the front camera so I can share with you the 2 panels that I got because the designs are longer. So this larger. So this is the owl, but in a panel print. I'm not sure what I'll use this for, but I like the idea of having the bigger designs to choose from. And this other one is from the Alice in Wonderland line. And again, larger images for, I see Alice is upside down. Oh, that's part of the print. How curious. And then let me share with you the other 2 because there's 4 designs on this fabric. All right, so again, a little bit of muted colors on this one, but still pretty. Yeah, lots of nice fabrics that I've added to my stash, and as you can see by that end twine swatch attached to the interfacing, I already used some of them. All right, I have a question for you. Let me know in the comments. What is your favorite fairy tale or fairy tale character? So let me know in the comments right now, either on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're watching the show. And I was trying to think really hard. Besides Alice in Wonderland, which I really do enjoy, I read all the books. The Ugly Duckling is another good one that I enjoy. I just like the idea of the duckling starting off thinking he's ugly, and then at the end of the story, he's a beautiful swan. So that's my favorite one.
That's the one you want.
That's the one I wanted. Thanks, Danny. Yeah, I just pulled this picture online from some artwork that I found. I wanted to let you know, since the holidays are coming up in a few days, and for a lot of people will be different than what we're normally used to, I listened to a few podcasts, and one of my favorites is hosted by Dr. Laurie Santos. It's called The Happiness Lab, and she has a lot of helpful, I don't know, she's a psychologist and a professor, and the podcast is just really well done. But 2 of the recent episodes that I listened to a few days ago, I wanted to share with you. So the first one is called How to Give and Receive the Perfect Gift. And the second one that I listened to, kind of part 2 on this holiday theme, is called How to Celebrate No Matter What. So they were both slightly less than an hour. Very good listens. I enjoyed them. And my takeaways from especially the one about giving and receiving the perfect gift is, in order to give the perfect gift, you need to be a good listener. Asking questions is helpful, such as, what have you been up to lately? Or have you tried anything new, to find out perhaps your friend just started getting into beekeeping. That might be an idea for the perfect gift. I really liked that they talked about how to be a good receiver. So for example, of course you want to, thank the giver for the gift, but another idea that they gave during the podcast was to give the giver recognition, perhaps in the form of a photograph showing that you enjoyed the gift. Just as an example, my birthday was recently. My brother gave me a beautiful orchid, and it might be a nice idea to snap a picture of the orchid and show him, hey, it's still alive and I'm enjoying it and I love it, and something like that. So something to keep in mind about being a good receiver. And also they mentioned during the podcast that giving future gifts are also a great idea. So as an example, one of the guests mentioned that last Christmas she got her father a gift of a chocolate making experience, like a class, except the class was in March. So he went to the class in March, and it was nice because not only did he enjoy getting the gift at the time during the holidays, but in March he got to have sort of a second go around. And she said he went to the chocolate making class and he wore a holiday hat and sent her pictures of him participating in the class. And so sort of it's a two-for deal when you can give someone sort of an experience or tickets to a play or concert later in the year, something like that. So if you have a little bit of extra time this week and are interested, I've linked to both of those podcast episodes in the description. You can listen on your favorite device on your computer. That's how I usually listen to mine. So hope you enjoy those. So the book review for this week is a brand new garment making book from Kennis Wong. It's called So Beautiful, and I'm definitely a fan of Kennis. Her company is called Itch to Stitch, and I actually got to meet her in person a few years ago. She attended an event that I co-hosted called So Pro, and besides being a fan, it was a lot of fun meeting in person. So there's 8 projects included in the book for garments in sizes 00 through size 20. And I'm just going to flip through the book sharing all of the projects, and there's also additional pictures of what Kennis's pattern makers have been making in her Facebook group, which I'm also a part of. So this is a really interesting wrap top and dress, and I saw a version that Kennis made online with flutter sleeves, which I really enjoyed. I'm just going to share one picture so you know what to expect from the book. Lots of step illustrations and detailed instructions. This is something I've not seen before, but I really like the idea of a jacket, but it's a wrap. As you can see, she used quilted fabric for this version in the book, which I thought was really awesome. A cold shoulder top and dress. So this is both of the views of this particular pattern in the book. The Carlsbad, this looks by far the easiest to sew as well as fit, and I just like the idea of the vest and the cardigan, so 2 different options for this one. Joggers, so these don't even look like joggers to me. They look really fancy and well done. Shorts, I think this is the project that I wanted to make the most in this book, the shorts as well as the joggers. I like being comfy when I'm around the house. A faux wrap skirt, a long skirt and a short skirt version. 2 options to choose from. A peasant blouse as well as a tiered dress. This is the dress in the photograph. A V-neck top, and this one has sort of a bonus option with the tie in the front. That looks really cool. I like that a lot. And all of the pattern pieces are in the back of the book in an envelope. They're all full size, so no enlarging to be done. And yeah, I'm really excited to start making some projects from this book. And again, it's called So Beautiful. Link is in the description if you're interested in checking that out. So my demonstration for tonight will be for making hidden straps or strap tabs. Before we switch over to the overhead camera, I just wanted to share with you a couple of bags before I get into the demonstration, so I can share with you how you can potentially work the hidden straps or strap tabs into a project. So this is the Amethyst project bag. As per the pattern, the straps are just top stitched to the front and the back of the bag, which completely fine, but this is an opportunity to perhaps work in those hidden strap tabs by having, I don't know what else I was going to say, by having them be hidden, I guess. This is the triple threat briefcase, and on the side of the bag, there's a little fabric tab over here, again top stitch, but another example of an opportunity where you could work in the hidden tabs into a bag. So Danny's going to switch over to the overhead camera. And before I get started with the demonstration, I'm going to show you what exactly is a hidden strap or strap tab. So in this example, this is a front of the bag. I haven't attached the other side of the strap yet, but let me flip to the back side so you can see the strap comes through an opening, and I've actually stitched it down to the bottom of what will be the front and back of the bag. You can either, there's a lot of different options for securing this. You can just top stitch it in place. You can use a rivet in one or two or both places. So I've prepared some step outs so that I can show you how exactly to get this going for your bag. So I have a PDF linked to in the description of the show. The PDF just has this handle overlay piece that you'll need to cut out first. And after cutting it out, it should look like this. So if you'll notice, I've preserved the line on the inner edge. That's really important. We don't want the opening to be too big so you can see the wrong side of your interfacing. And before the show, I prepared what will be the front of the bag. I've attached my exterior fabric to the foam interfacing. Again, the interfacing will depend on what particular project that you're working on. And so first what I'm going to do is I'm going to transfer this inner rectangle to the wrong side of a piece of fabric that I cut out, the same fabric as the exterior. I did not cut out the inner section yet, and you'll need 4 of these pieces. So 2 for the front of the bag and 2 for the back of the bag. So what I'm just going to do is take my friction pen. I'm going to lay the paper template over the fabric, and I'm just going to draw that inner rectangle. And you do the same thing for all 4 pieces of the fabric. Again, the fabric is just by itself, no interfacing. And then you'll need to decide placement for where you want the opening to be, and you'll need to replicate that placement for the right hand side of the bag as well as the back piece of the bag, so the second portion, just like this. So what I did is I just used my ruler and I decided, well, I'd like this piece to be 2 inches down and 2 inches over, and just remember the opening is a little bit further down and to the side than the edge of the fabric. If you'd like to, before attaching this to the main body of the bag, you can either serge or zigzag. You can use seam sealant, or you can just leave it as is. That just kind of finishes the edge of the fabric. All right, so what I did here, after positioning this little handle overlay piece, I placed it right sides together with the body of the bag, and I just stitched directly on top of the line. You can see my stitches here. Especially with a small rectangle like this, you may find while you're stitching with your usual stitch length, and my usual stitch length is 2.5 millimeters, you may find that when it comes time to sew directly into the corner where the 2 lines intersect, your next stitch might kind of go slightly past the line. So what I like to do is I like to decrease my stitch length to either 1 millimeters or 1.5 millimeters, hand crank for 1 stitch to come down directly in the corner, and then turn back to my regular stitch length. So that's only if you notice that you'll either be coming up short or possibly be stitching past the line. All right, so I've stitched my line over there. Now I'm going to use my seam sealant to get a little opening started, and because the stitches are so close together on top and bottom, just be really careful when you're cutting that you're not cutting through the stitches. So I'm going to get a little opening started, and then I'm going to use my scissors to cut the rest of the way. Normally for zipper pockets, I am cutting a small V in the corners, but because the stitches are so close together, I felt more comfortable just cutting a straight line like that. Okay, so now comes the time to push that handle overlay fabric through the opening, and this is what it will look like on the wrong side of the fabric. So the sides might look a little bit bunched up, but from the front edge, it looks definitely a lot nicer. So I'm going to use my fingers to kind of roll the seam out so that the fabrics are wrong sides together. And then I'm going to use my iron to press from the wrong side of the fabric. I used a fabric glue pen, and this is by Fons & Porter. We sell these on the website in case you're interested in that. I just applied glue to the fabric, and then with a hot dry iron, set the glue in place. Okay, let me grab my next piece. All right, so there's a few options for finishing. I stitched 1/8 of an inch away from both the top edge and the bottom. If you know you'll be stitching your handle down, at least on the lower portion, you might want to wait to top stitch the lower portion. And I used a lengthened stitch length for this. So this is what the opening looks like after it's been stitched. And then you'll just need to prepare your strap. So this is a 1 inch wide strap, which fits in this opening. I just prepared my strap like I normally do, kind of like double fold bias tape. I left one end open just so I could show you exactly what I mean by that. So wrong sides together in half, and then I pressed both the lower and the upper edge in toward the center crease and pressed one more time, and the strap is top stitched 1/8 of an inch away from both of the long edges. All right, so the strap will just be inserted through the right side of the fabric. I'm going to pull it down to the bottom edge and making sure it's straight, just stitch it down 1/8 of an inch should be fine. You'll repeat the same process for the right hand side of this front portion of the bag, and let me pull the finished portion out again so that I can show you. And again, there's a few options. If you'd like to attach rivets, you can do that. If you would only like to secure the top stitching, it will still be sturdy enough just because the strap is attached along the bottom edge. So hopefully that was helpful. It gives you a few other options as far as straps or tabs on your bag, except part of them are hidden. So hope you enjoyed that demonstration. I have a giveaway at the end of the show still, and I'll also be answering some questions live. So before we get over to the questions, you have a minute or two to get your question in. Go ahead and type it in the comments on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you watch Sewcial Sunday. But before we get over to that, the winner of last week's giveaway was Ray Venezia. So congratulations to Renee. I've already Ray Venezia. I've already contacted Ray on social media and just waiting to hear back on an address so we can get that prize in the mail. So thank you, Danny. I forgot to ask all of our bag makers to stand proud. Let us know in the comments that you're part of the Sew Sweetness squad. We're sure glad that you're here watching the show, as well as those that are part of the Facebook group. And it's just a great community, and many of you have been with us throughout the years. So thank you so much for that. We really appreciate it. All right, Danny's going to be posting some questions. I'll answer as many as I can live, but he's been commenting that so many good questions have been coming in lately on the show. Rhonda says, needle size for the seatbelt webbing. So when I used it in the past, I just used my regular needles that I normally use. I normally use 9014 Microtex needles, and I like either the Oregon brand or the Schmetz brand of needles. Linda says, no, haven't used seatbelt, but would like to. Which of your patterns works best with the seatbelt webbing? So in the pictures that we posted, 2 of the bags that I've attached the seatbelt webbing to in the past, I made an emblem duffel bag with the seatbelt webbing, a tortoise bag, the handles on the Annex double zip pouch, just little grab handles on those, and then the other picture from Michelle Tripp, that was a triple threat briefcase. So really, and keeping the width of the seatbelt webbing in mind, whether you're buying 1 inch, 1.5 inch, or 2 inch, you can incorporate that in place of virtually any strap or handles, or even on a pouch handles. And they're really easy to sew with. No interfacing is needed. You'll just use the seatbelt webbing as is. Sherry says, do you do your long arm quilting? Actually, I don't have a long arm. I have machine quilted a few quilts years ago on my home sewing machine. It's not my favorite process, and so usually when I finish a quilt top, I generally only make a couple quilts a year, if that. There's been some years where I've not made any, or maybe I've made one, so I generally send those off to be long-armed. Do you do patchwork bags? From Evelyn in Western Australia. Patchwork bags. I'm sure I have in the past. Nothing is jumping to mind immediately. I've certainly made a few patchwork garments. I have made a few quilts in the past, rather detailed quilts, and then cut them up to make either dresses or skirts. It's been a few years since I've done that, but definitely slightly small scale works of art, just because so much work had to be put into the quilt and then cut up for either the dress or the skirt. Lisa says, will you use those for coming spring and summer?
It was the panels that the Alice in Wonderland large panels.
Oh, okay. The question was about the panels. I don't know. These Alice in Wonderland panels were quite large, so I guess I'll have to look through my bag making arsenal to see what bags they will fit on. Perhaps a hyacinth bag, because the hyacinth bag has that rather large flap in the front, and I bet I could get a good portion of the design on that particular bag. Bonita says, what does the owl fabric come from? The owl fabric was from Blank Quilting, and the link to the owl fabric is in the description. I think the fabric line was called Owl Prowl, if I remember correctly, but it's linked to in the description. Bonnie says, I ordered some patterns and videos and was wondering when they would be mailed. Thank you. Actually, the patterns and videos are digital, so the patterns are PDF patterns and the video stream from my website. There should be instructions on how to access those in the order confirmation email, but in case you didn't get that, or maybe it went to spam, feel free to email me, and I'm happy to get you settled with that. And again, my email is sarah@sewsweetness.com, and that's Sarah with no H. John says, sorry, I missed the name of the podcast. Could you please share it again? Thank you, Patricia. So I linked to those 2 episodes in the description, but the name of the podcast was The Happiness Lab. I love it. She's got a lot of episodes on different mental health topics, so highly recommend it. Shannon says, could you get a template for us with that overlay template? Yes, this handle overlay is actually in the description, and it's a PDF download, so you can just download it. It's a single page to print out and no taping necessary. Sandy says, you talked about fusing a fabric on the back of another fabric to give it more body. Is this something I can use heat and bond for? Heat and bond, I believe they do make an interfacing comparable to Shapeflex. So if that's what you have, yes, you can do that. You can either fuse it to a larger piece of fabric like what I've done here, or something I've done in the past when I've worked with rayon fabrics. You can cut out your pieces of fabric and then attach the Shapeflex or the heat and bond version. I just felt the reason I attached the Shapeflex to this piece first before cutting is because I was worried while I was drawing with my pen or perhaps cutting with my scissors, the fabric would shift and I get an inaccurately cut piece, but either way will work. Obviously this way wastes a little bit more interfacing. Kim says, didn't you show rotary blade?
Your sharpener, the rotary blade sharpener we had.
Yes, the rotary blade sharpener. I've got it right here, but I can't grab it because I'm hooked up to my mic. I don't remember the brand name, but if you'd like to email me after the show.
How's it working out?
Oh, how's it working out? It's working out great. I still use it for my blades. I do use the Olfa, the extended use blades. Again, the name's not coming to me off the top of my head, but it does make the blades last a little bit longer because it has a sharpening stone on the inside, and by taking a pass with the blade several times back and forth, it does sharpen the blade and extend the use a little bit. Angie says, if you put a pin on the ends, you can't cut through the stitching. Oh, that's a really good idea. So Angie's suggesting for those hidden tabs, when I cut the opening, I don't have a piece without cut opening, to put a pin on each end through the fabric to kind of block your scissors or your seam ripper, whatever you're using. Same thing with the length of the opening as well. Terry says, will an SVG be available for this template to use with a cutting machine? Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but I'll write that down. Yeah, sure, that would be a really simple one to knock out. Wendy says, do you have to pull the strap down to the bottom of the bag? You don't, but I thought in this particular instance it would be nice and sturdy to have it sewn into the seam. So if you stitch it to the bottom of the bag, then it will be sewn into the seam and further reinforced besides just the top stitching and the rivet. Let's see, Woodford, the Service Golden. I really love that little avatar there. That's cute. Can the seatbelt webbing be substituted for poly strapping in all of your bags? Yeah, for sure. If you're using polyester or nylon strapping, you sure can use this instead. It's really nice too because it doesn't fray as much as the nylon strapping that I've used in the past has. Becky says, where did you get your cute sweater? You know what? I've had this for a few years. If I had to guess, I think I might have gotten it from ModCloth. They have a lot of fun holiday things every year for Halloween and Christmas, like cute sweaters and dresses and skirts with like holiday themes. So yeah, check on ModCloth. I don't know if they'll have this particular sweater still, but they might have something just as cute. Lori says, I like the idea of those hidden straps to go all the way under to give extra support, like for a duffel, etc. Do you have a pattern that uses that? The only pattern so far that I have with the hidden straps in it already is the Sewing Machine travel bag. That particular bag is not top stitched down because the straps on that particular bag kind of serve as a sling to go under the bottom of the bag, and they need to be able to move around to support the weight of a sewing machine. But I might consider it for future patterns, but any pattern that you'd like to work on that doesn't have it already, for example, perhaps the Baker Street bag, you can just go ahead and incorporate it in that bag using the instructions that I provided in the demonstration. Cheryl says, what is a good pattern for a Bible cover? So I've heard from the Facebook group over the years that either the Creative Maker supply case or the grab and go sleeve from Minikin Season 1. I've personally made a grab and go sleeve for a book, a hardcover book, while not a Bible. I did make it for a hardcover book. You might need to make a little bit of adjustments, make the bag a little bit bigger than the pattern instructions. The grab and go sleeve works off the measurement of your device or book. However, Bibles are a little bit thicker than what I was envisioning while I was writing that pattern, and so maybe if you just make the sleeve a little bit higher and wider, should be able to accommodate that extra thickness. Lori says, when winding a bobbin on your Juki, does the needle still go up and down? I didn't think it did, but I just noticed mine does. Did I miss that, or is something wrong with my machine? You know, I don't even know off the top of my head. And I was just using the machine to wind a few bobbins earlier. Maybe someone watching the show has better memory or perception than I do. Let us know in the comments, and Danny will look out for that comment to put it on the screen. Jennifer says, would it work to use cork to cover the zipper opening rather than going through the hole, push through the hole with a cork cover? You could just sew it over the opening and sew the back on. So if you'd like to use cork or vinyl for kind of like a zipper overlay, but rather a handle opening overlay, you could do that. You could also use metal grommets, which I'm saving for a future episode of Sewcial Sunday demonstration. So there's a few options for those hidden tabs. You don't just have to make the opening like I've done tonight. You have at least 2 other options for that. Judy says, how do you feel about lawn chair webbing for handles or straps? You know what, I've not personally used it for a bag, but it seems pretty similar, maybe not as smooth. It's been a while, a few months at least, since I sat in a lawn chair, but that might work. Jan says, have you ever used recycled fabric from another source in your bags? I for sure used t-shirts. I stabilized them with Shapeflex interfacing to take out the stretch before attaching them to the interfacing as called for in the pattern, but yeah, like fun either camp t-shirts or t-shirts from a vacation or from a concert. That would be really cool to incorporate into a bag. Bernadette says, do you drop hints on what you want for Christmas or buy it yourself? My husband has no idea what sewing items to buy me. So I do keep an Amazon wish list, and Amazon has a function so that you can wish list items from websites that are not even Amazon. So perhaps if you like something on Etsy or sewing machine shop or your favorite fabric, you can add that to your wish list. I guess I'll have to see what I get this year. Danny, do you usually look at my wish list or no?
Never.
Danny says never. Danny likes to
be original.
Be original and be a rebel, I guess. so we'll see. Eileen says, needle doesn't go up and down when winding bobbins on a Juki if you have the bobbin in the slot correctly. Thank you for that, Eileen. Robbie says, my Juki does not go up and down. Thank you. I suppose brain fart. I've had this machine for, I don't know, 8 years, and I couldn't recall that. Kim says, I have a Juki DX7. I'm to add vinyl as an accent to a pouch, and when I tried to stitch down, the stitches were so close together they could barely be seen. What am I doing wrong? So I'm guessing you need either a Teflon foot or a walking foot. So what either of those two items on your sewing machine do, your regular metal foot, the metal just kind of wants to stick to the vinyl, and that's why all the stitches are so close together. So either invest in a Teflon foot, they're relatively inexpensive. I love using mine, I use mine quite often, or a walking foot will do that. If you need something in a pinch, either painter's tape on the bottom of your regular foot, or if you have tissue paper, kind of like medical exam table tissue paper, those will work as well. Darlene says, I have a loved one that needs a crossbody purse where we could make one side with see-through vinyl to access a medicine pump and the other side to carry phone, credit cards, etc. Do you have a pattern that would work for that? The one she has is medical and what is it?
Ugly to the point of embarrassment for her.
Gotcha. Crossbody purse. I have a few crossbody bag patterns, so I guess it depends on how large the bag needs to be for the pump. The smallest out of all of them is probably the Tower crossbody bag, which is a free pattern and video. If you need something a little bit bigger, let me have a think on that, but why don't you email me after the show and I'd be happy to go over some specifics. You can perhaps let me know the dimensions of the pump and maybe we can work through some ideas for what would work best. So again, Sarah at sewsweetness.com, and that's Sarah with no H. Shannon says, what are your thoughts on your new iron? I love it. Not only do I like the color, I know that's a visual item of it. I'm kind of looking at it off camera. I really love using it. I love, because I've had Singer irons in the past, I feel pretty confident that after a year it won't be leaking water all over my projects like my Rowenta did. But yeah, so far loving it. Loving it. I have 2 Singer irons. I think it was 2 weeks ago on Sewcial Sunday, I reviewed the newest one that I got. So check that show out if you're interested. Jessica says, I'm going to be bringing home my first puppy in a few weeks and was thinking I'd like to make a puppy bag like a diaper bag and was wondering which pattern you'd recommend. So first off, congratulations. I'm curious what breed of puppy you're getting. Puppy bag. Well, as far as a diaper bag, I do have the Aragon bag, which also has an optional video available for it. We do have the Best Friend pet carrier. Again, not sure of the size of your puppy when it will be full grown, but that's another option in case you need a pet carrier. Danny, what do you think for puppy bag? Anything jumping to mind?
The Widget.
The Widget?
Widget's my go-to for everything.
Danny loves the Widget messenger bag, and he's recommending that for smaller items, poop bags, maybe a ball, little things that you might want to carry around for training. So hopefully one of those will catch your fancy. Oh, hey, Vanessa. Vanessa says it takes 1 stitch and then stops and keeps winding the bobbin. Make sure the bobbin winder is fully engaged. Oh, if you don't follow, of course you follow the Crafty Gemini on YouTube, but if not, check it out. She's got lots of fun, quick gifts that you can make last minute for people if you need, perhaps someone's given you a gift and you had not purchased something and you need to make something really quick. Check out Vanessa's YouTube channel, the Crafty Gemini, and you can find lots of fun projects there. Tressa says, question, I bought a canvas pillowcase, advice turning it into a bag. It has a zipper. That's a pretty good sized piece of fabric for the front and the back of the bag. Trying to think. Might be cute as an Oriole bag. I think I could fit the front and back of the Oriole bag on that swatch of fabric. Nellie says, when will the seam guide be available again? It was sold out. Good news, we got those in last weekend. We have several hundred of them left, so should be enough to last us till at least the end of the year. So you can find that at sewsweetness.com. We have a tab for shop and then a sub tab for acrylic templates, and it'll be listed there. They're in alphabetical order, and it's the official name is Seam Guide. Terry says, why use a Microtex needle instead of a regular 9014 needle? The tip is just a little bit different for piercing the fabric and interfacing layers or when using cork and vinyl. I do have a video on my YouTube channel going into more detail of different needle sizes to be used for bag making, so check that out. On my YouTube channel, there's a search box and you can just type in needles for bag making and that video will pop up. Danny, are you calling in on the question?
I saw one more that I know you can answer quickly.
Okay. Judy says, what's the trick to separating the Dritz wash away wonder tape? I struggle and you make it look so easy. So this is, I always have it in easy reach. This is the Dritz wash.
I used to struggle too all the time on videos.
Danny says I struggle on videos sometimes with this.
You found that little like pinch it or something.
Oh, thank you. All right, so this is double-sided tape. It's really handy for installing zippers and other things. It's got paper on one side and the sticky side is on one side. So you apply the sticky side and then you have to peel back the paper. So what I personally do is I take my fingernail and I just kind of stab it in the corner, and that kind of helps separate the adhesive from the paper and I can peel it back. I've heard tips from other people that they actually like to rip it because when you rip it, it kind of creates an uneven edge and sort of naturally just separates the layers. So either way will work. I'm still using my fingernail to stab it though. All right, Danny's calling in on the question, so I apologize if I did not get to your question live, but I will be back again next Sunday with Danny and I'll be answering more questions. For this week's giveaway, because Christmas is upon us, I decided to give away a $100 gift certificate to sewsweetness.com, and this will be a randomly drawn winner. I'll announce the winner on next Sunday's show. You have until end of the day Saturday to enter. All you need to do is answer my question in the comments on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you watch our show. And my question is, what is your favorite garment you have sewn or you would like to sew if you've never sewn a garment before? So just type that in the comments right now. I hope you have a wonderful holiday. Have a great, relaxing week and happy sewing. Bye, everybody.